The movie Katie and I, my wife, just spent the last 2 hours watching has finally come to an end. I've had one too many beers, but she seemed to enjoy it, sitting there beside me. What I don't understand, John, is how a man could be so stubborn, so blind, that he couldn't find it in himself to forgive his own wife for something so trivial. What the hell are you talking about? Trivial? For God's sake, it wasn't trivial. She betrayed him. Any woman who cheats on her husband deserves whatever punishment comes her way. It's unforgivable, no matter the circumstances. That's cruel, John. Damn it. That's just awful. A loving husband would be understanding. He'd realize that a mistake doesn't mean she stopped loving him. No, it means her feelings for him were never as strong as they should have been. A woman who cheats on her husband is telling him she doesn't respect him, that she doesn't feel guilty. She's reducing him to less than a man, even if he doesn't show it. But what if that wasn't her intention? Intentions don't matter, Katie. What matters is what she did, and the outcome is inevitable. That's just old-fashioned, John. I can't believe you're so backward. These things can be talked through, resolved. There's never a need for violence from the husband's side. That only applies if the wife confesses before he finds out. If he discovers it first, she's doomed. And if she denies it after being caught, she should be burned at the stake. Most men don't even notice what their wives are up to. So few ever get caught. This is a stupid argument. I'm going to get ready for bed. I'll be there in a few minutes. Katie and I had spent most of the day wandering through flea markets and yard sales. I never minded tagging along every weekend. Usually, I'd find something to watch while she dug through her treasures. Old ceramic coasters, the uglier, the better. We both worked hard, saving every penny for our first home. Of course, it had to have a big kitchen, with enough wall space for at least 100 of those ceramic tiles. We'd only been married 6 years, but we'd been together a few years before that. She was short, a little chubby. I'd tease her about having a nursery figure. We planned to have several children once we moved into our new home. Right now, all we needed was enough for an 80% down payment. I was finishing an article for a magazine, but I couldn't shake the thoughts from our recent conversation. Katie had been too defensive about infidelity, a topic we'd never even discussed before. I'd never considered the possibility, but now she had my attention. Most of the guys I worked with kept their wives on a tight leash. Katie, though, she was completely independent. I'd always trusted her, never doubted her loyalty. I'd never even thought about cheating on her, and I'd assumed she felt the same. Still, I decided a little digging wouldn't hurt. I was sure I wouldn't find anything, but just to be certain, I'd look. I worked from 6 to 4, and Katie worked from 8 to 6. That gave me a little time to figure things out. The next day, I rushed home from work around 9 and stepped into the apartment. I didn't know what I was looking for, but it was starting to feel like some kind of twisted scavenger hunt. Before I could even begin, a strange, sweet smell hit me. Air freshener, a lot of it. I wandered around, sniffing, trying to piece together what was going on. Eventually, I found myself by the fireplace in the living room. Katie must have burned something and tried to mask the smell with the air freshener. The fireplace floor was clean, freshly swept. The blanket on the bricks was still damp. If she'd burned something and removed it, there had to be remnants somewhere. If she were clever, she'd have taken it to work with her. But she wasn't clever. In the cardboard box in the garage, I found a plastic liner from a wastebasket. I spread newspapers on the kitchen table and emptied the contents. Mostly black ash, but scattered throughout were small bits of paper and a few photographs. I'd like to say I managed to reconstruct something readable, but that wasn't meant to be. All I knew was that she'd decided it was important to burn some old papers and photographs, so I wouldn't find out about them. After our conversation the night before, I started to worry. My whole life had been devoted to Katie, to the future we were building. Now it seemed I'd been careless, blind to what was happening around me. She hadn't been completely honest with me. I knew almost nothing about her work or her colleagues. I'd never thought I needed to. On my way to work, I stopped by Radio Shack and bought 3 digital tape recorders with voice activation and extra batteries. The mobile communication office was more than happy to provide call logs for the past 3 months from both of our phones. I explained that the National Security Agency was conducting an audit, and we needed the information for clearance checks. I requested both phones to avoid suspicion, but after checking mine, I tossed it into the shredder at work. For the first time since we'd gotten married, I began to have negative thoughts about my wife. I didn't like it, but I couldn't help it. I got home a few hours before Katie and set up the tape recorders, one in the living room, one in the bedroom, and one in the kitchen. I had to adjust the kitchen one so it wouldn't pick up the fridge noises. Every morning before leaving for work, I turned them all on. Dinner was ready by the time Katie got home. "Hi, darling. I hope the chili's not too spicy." About halfway through dinner, I started probing. When I got home earlier, the house reeked, something between burnt cheese and scorched rubber. "What the hell did you burn in the fireplace before work?" She was caught. She tried to hide it, but now it was out in the open. "Oh, nothing special, just some old papers and school stuff." "Why the hell did you burn them? Why not just toss them in the trash or shred them? And why did you clean the fireplace? It looked like you were preparing for a crime scene cleanup." "I don't know why this is such a big deal." "Katie, I find it very strange that you woke up this morning, got ready for work, burned a pile of old school papers, and then cleaned it all up as if it never happened. Are you blaming me for being suspicious? Because it didn't look like schoolwork. It looked like letters and photographs. What the hell did you do? Did you dig through the trash and pull out this garbage just to accuse me of something?" "Yes." "Off. You can sleep on the couch." Katie had never spoken to me like that before, but then again, I'd never accused her of anything before. A few seconds later, the doorbell rang. I grabbed her cell phone from the nightstand and quickly copied all the numbers from her contacts, all outgoing calls, all incoming calls, all messages. It took only a few minutes to scan her address book into a computer file. I didn't mind sleeping on the couch, but the living room still smelled of burnt paper and ashes. At work, I had plenty of free time, so I took a day off. I turned on the tape recorders and left the house at the usual time, but instead of going to work, I headed to Denny's. A little later, around 8:08, I returned home. Katie had made one phone call. "I have some issues at home." "No, nothing like that. He just suspects something's going on, but has no idea what. He's getting irritated, and it's really starting to get on my nerves." Okay. I think I can handle it. Maybe on Friday. See you?" I had no idea who was on the other end, but I thought I'd find out soon. I wondered what was supposed to happen on Friday. I spent the morning at the library, going through her phone calls. I could have done it at home, but the reverse phone directory at the library was better than anything online, and faster. For cell phones, it was worthless. I eliminated most of the numbers because I recognized them or could match them to her address book. One number stood out, TRS. It was on her speed dial and in her address book. The address book also listed a landline number, which belonged to Tom Rollins. Katie worked with him at Gen X. I'd actually met him a few times. The last time was about 10 days ago at a corporate event. He and Katie had been close all evening, and I remembered not liking it. He was married to a cute brunette who also didn't seem to be having much fun at the party. I compiled a list of all the times Katie had called Tom in the last 3 months, and all the times he'd called her. There wasn't a single text message from him. I assumed Katie had called Tom that morning. There were a lot of calls, but it was just an assumption. After making a couple of copies of the phone list, I went to Tom Rollins' house. I figured I had nothing to lose. I knocked on the door. "John Connor, I was hoping to talk to you. Come in." This was unexpected. "I'm sorry, I'm in an awkward position here. I know you're married to Tom, but I don't think we've ever met. My name is Sylvia, but everyone calls me Sly." She extended her hand, and I shook it out of courtesy. "John? The only thing I need to talk to you about is the affair your wife and my husband are having." She hit me straight in the face with it. I didn't expect this. Looks like she knows a hell of a lot more than I do. "I'm filing for divorce from Tom, and I'm naming Katie in the lawsuit. I have a lot of supporting documents, and I'd like to collaborate on a few issues. Sylvia, I have no intention of causing you trouble over this, but I only found out about it yesterday. I don't have any information that could help you. All I have right now are a few phone logs." "Let me take a look." She started examining the phone logs like an IRS auditor, making notes, cross-referencing the information with the documents she had. She grinned, and I thought she might burst into laughter at any moment. The more she worked, the more excited she seemed. Finally, I intervened. "Is there any information you can share with me?" "Of course, I'm willing to give you everything I have." She pushed 3 motel receipts across the table to me. They listed the date, time, and of course the motel's name. All 3 were different. All 3 were paid in cash. The idiot doesn't realize I go through all his pockets every night after he goes to bed. I take the receipts, and he doesn't even notice they're gone. He lives in his own world. I'm invisible to him. As we talked, she seemed to grow more enraged. I started to worry about my safety. I hope she won't get upset with me because I'm Katie's husband. The veins bulged on her neck like a television wrestler's. I don't think I've ever seen a woman so furious. She made copies of the motel receipts for me and handed them over. "I have many more receipts and other things if you need them. Oh, wait, let me show you something special." She left and soon returned with a zippered bag. Inside were a pair of women's panties. "Do you recognize these?" Of course I did. In the bag was a pair of gray-green bikini pants that belonged to a set my wife owned. I pulled these from Tom's coat pocket on the night of the last corporate party. He went crazy, rummaging through the closet and the car, trying to find them, but didn't dare say a word to me. "May I borrow them?" "Only if you promise to return them." "Deal." For the next hour, Sylvia Rollins rambled and raved like a madwoman. I tried to leave several times but couldn't. Finally, she said she needed to lie down, giving me the chance to escape. She mentioned that Tom hated condoms and refused to use them. When Katie returned home, dinner was ready. I was starving. I'd skipped lunch. My wife was calm as a cucumber. I understood why I hadn't noticed anything before. I cleared the dishes and served a couple of slices of key lime pie, her favorite, along with some coffee. It was nice and quiet. "Katie, can I ask you a question without you getting mad?" "What is it?" "Where are the panties that go with this bra?" I held up the gray-green push-up bra that matched the panties Sylvia had given me. "I don't know. Probably in my dresser." "Why the hell are you rummaging through my underwear? Are you turning into some kind of pervert?" "Could you go get the panties for me?" Katie just sat there, staring at her pie. She couldn't reach the panties, and she knew it. I could tell she was starting to get angry. "You know, I just remembered. I threw them away last week. The elastic band came off, and I just didn't feel like fixing them. They were less than a month old." "Katie, you bought them at the mall just 3 weeks ago. How did they wear out so quickly?" Now she was boiling. Her lower lip trembled. The veins on her neck bulged. Her fists clenched tightly. Damn it, was like I was back with Sylvia. "All right, Mr. Know-It-All. Are you going to tell me what happened to my panties last week when we were getting ready for your company's park party? I watched you getting dressed. You put on that bra and the panties that went with it. I remember thinking how great you looked. When we got back from the party, you undressed in the bathroom, but I noticed you weren't wearing any panties. How did you manage to lose your underwear between leaving home and getting back?" "I think you're mistaken. They were on me when I came back. You just didn't see them." "All right then. Tell me, how did they end up in Tom Rollins' coat pocket?" I lifted the bag with the panties. "Where the hell did you get those?" "From Tom's wife, Sylvia." "Why are you asking? You son of a—" What? Stop sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. There's nothing going on between me and Tom. I have no idea how his wife got my panties. Do you have any other nonsense you want to throw at me? There's something else, Katie. I slid a questionnaire across the table. Fill this out. All I want to know is the date and place where you met with other men outside our marriage. I'll start it off for you. As Katie watched, I entered the name of the motel and the date they'd last met with Tom. In the next line, I wrote Tom's name and the motel's name. In the next line, I put the date. Fill this out for me, Katie. Then we'll talk. She knew the information I'd entered was correct. Katie just stared at the paper, not moving, not saying anything. Oh yes, one more thing. I raised my voice. I'm a little pissed at you and Tom. Couldn't bother to use any protection. It's disgusting that you cheated on me, but even worse that you didn't have the decency to use a condom. You had no qualms about bringing home some disease to me. That's truly disgusting. Did any of them bother to protect themselves, or was it just Tom who didn't? No, damn it, it was just Tom. He was the only one who didn't use anything. The room fell silent. I hadn't expected such an outburst, and I don't think Katie realized what she'd said until it was too late. In her anger, she'd let slip that she'd had affairs with other guys besides Tom. With a wave of her hand, Katie swept half the table clean and dashed out of the kitchen. I heard the bedroom door close, followed by quiet sobbing. I drove to a motel for the night. I called in sick at work, saying I wouldn't be in for a few days. I returned Sylvia's panties as promised. This time, she didn't say anything and seemed very subdued. I didn't push and left as soon as I could. I found a small motel that rented rooms by the week, each with a kitchen. Katie wasn't home when I passed by, so I dashed inside and grabbed as many of my things as I could. I bought some silverware, plates, and a few pants. It took me about an hour to set up my new kingdom. I couldn't shake the thought that just a week ago, I had no idea something like this would happen. As I started walking back to my car, I noticed Tom Rollins about 5 rooms down from me. He was carrying bags and boxes into the room. I had to chuckle. The son of a dog was doing the same thing I was. Either Sylvia had kicked him out, or he'd finally had enough. It didn't matter. The result was the same. Around the time Katie's car pulled up, she didn't see me or notice my car. They talked for a bit, then went into the room. About 10 minutes later, I figured it was time to go home and get the rest of my stuff. I was sure they'd be occupied for at least an hour. I packed everything I could into the Honda. The computer, cameras, a portable TV, all my CDs, even my George Foreman grill. I was disconnecting the answering machine when there was a knock on the door. Mr. Connor? 2 policemen stood at the door. Yes, you're Mr. Katie Connor's husband? Yes. Is she okay? What's happened? I'm sorry to have to tell you this, sir, but your wife is dead. No, you must be mistaken. I saw her just 2 hours ago, and she was fine. Where did you see her? She was at the Desk Motel on Pine Avenue with Tom Rollins. Mr. Rollins is dead too. They were shot. Listen, I've been here for 2 hours. I don't even have a gun. It can't be. Easy there, Mr. Connor. Don't take it too hard. We have a shooter. Mrs. Rollins shot them both as they were leaving his room. She emptied her gun into them, then called 911. When we arrived, she was sitting by the door of the room crying. Will you be okay, or do you need someone to stay with you? No, I'll be fine. Thank you. A week ago, everything was fine. What the hell happened?